Year 7, Mr. Tapley here to walk you through your next lesson of Year 7 Humanities in Week 9 of Term 2. This lesson I will be introducing the CAT for Economics, which we will be completing in Week 10, so you're not starting the CAT today, so don't freak out, but I'll be introducing the CAT instructions, where to find the CAT, how to submit the CAT, some support resources, etc, etc. So yeah, that's what this video lecture will be about. And if you have any questions, just email me or leave a comment in Google Classroom, or hopefully this video won't be necessary because you'll be back at school and you can just ask me in person. Anyway, so our learning intention is to understand the instructions for the CAT, which is our case study analysis. At this stage you should have completed the DEV, which was our practice case study. So it should be similar structure, similar questions, similar skills and knowledge. So if you've completed the DEV, you should be pretty prepared for the CAT. And as I mentioned before, the CAT will be completed in Week 10. Success criteria. To effectively manage our time, ask questions and carefully read the instructions for the CAT assessment. So, the CAT instructions are available in Compass Resources. They're also available in Compass Learning Tasks. The assessment structure is very similar to the DEV. As I mentioned before, it's a case study analysis. Here's the important information. So the CAT is divided into 3 case studies. So 3 examples completed across 3 lessons in Week 10. So you're looking at 1 case study per lesson. We didn't want to give you a massive assignment like the civics CAT, which was that persuasive letter, because that was a lot of writing and you completed it across like 1 week or 2 weeks. We thought, alright, if we take the test and we divide it into 3 kind of mini tests, 3 case studies, that would be an easy way to approach this after remote learning, all the challenges and difficulties we've had there. So Week 10 you have 3 lessons of Humanities and you'll complete 1 case study per lesson. The CAT requires you to read the case study, which will be a brief paragraph describing an economic scenario. So Johnny makes this amount of money, he's a full-time employee, etc, etc. And then you demonstrate your knowledge by responding to 3 to 4 questions. They're not massive essay-length questions, they're short answers, 2 to 3 sentences. And the CAT is open book. You guys should have completed your info sheet, your cheat sheet, summary sheet, whatever you want to call it. So you can use that. You can use your textbook and your notes to support your efforts in each lesson. You can also, hopefully, use the feedback that I've provided on your DEV task, on the practice case study. So the CAT will be completed digitally using Google Classroom. You should be very familiar with this tool, hopefully, after your remote learning experience. However, if you have questions, please let me know. And this will be a bit different from remote learning because I'll actually be hopefully with you in the classroom. So if you have any problems, you don't have to send me an email. You can just say, hey, Mr. Tapley, over here, I'm having trouble, and I can wander over and help you out. At the beginning of each lesson, the CAT case study will be uploaded to Google Classroom assignments. The case study and the questions are located in a Google Doc file. You won't need to create a new document. You won't be using a Microsoft Word document or Pages or whatever. Use the file provided and submit the assignment at the end of each lesson. I will allow some time allowances for classes that are experiencing technical difficulties. If all our internet dies or if your iPad runs out of battery, I'm not going to fail you, obviously. So if you have challenges or questions, please let me know before the lesson, during the lesson, whenever they occur, basically. Hopefully you guys understand as well that you have a different timetable for the last couple of weeks of the term. So to separate you guys from the seniors kids will start school at 8:30 and they finish at 2:45. You guys start at 8:45 and you finish at 2:30. So if you have a class in period 1 for Humanities, your lesson will be slightly shorter. So 7F3, I think you have 1 or 2 classes in period 1, which means you'd have slightly less time than 7E4, which isn't really fair. So I'd probably give you a little bit of time after the class to submit the file. So instead of being due at 9 AM after period 1 ends, it might be due at 4 PM, something like that. But I'll take that into consideration, and again, if you have questions or concerns, all you need to do is ask me. So before I go into the next couple of slides, I'll show you where some of this information is located. So this is Compass Resources here. You can see we've got our Humanities page, Term 1 Civics, Term 2 Economics is where we're going. and you'll see that after the Google Slides link, after the textbook chapters, you've got right here Economics Cat Student Instructions. You can also access the file in Learning Tasks, Cat Case Study Analysis, and it's just there. And I'll show you what that looks like. Basically, it's the information I have summarized in the slides, so I'm not going to read through it in too much detail. 3 case studies, each case study is worth 10 marks, I should say. So those 3 or 4 questions, all up to 10 marks. So you will be assessed out of 30 marks in total. So when I upload your results for the cat, it'll be 1 cat. It's not going to be 3 mini cats. So it'll be out of 30. So there'll be 1 period provided to complete each case study. Access textbook. That revision checklist I actually included in the slides when I was helping you create your info sheet, so that shouldn't be new information. And the due dates there haven't been filled in, but I'll explain those in the future, so don't stress. Where's the other file I want? That one? No. I've lost it. Alright, I'll have to open it again. Oh, I just read that. Oh, Mr. Tapley, you've lost the plot. I wanted to show you guys the dev again, because this is genuinely what your cat will look like. It's very similar to the structure. You'll have some information, some instructions, and then a couple of questions there that you have to answer. Make sure you pay attention to how many marks each question is worth. What's the next thing I want to show? Here we go. So Google Classroom, again, is where you'll be finding the assignments, the case studies, and you can see this is 7F3. Instead of just uploading them all now, and you guys starting them 2 weeks early, you can see I've actually scheduled the cats to appear in Google Classroom on the day of your lesson. So that's why you won't be able to see the cats in Google Classroom at this moment. But 703, for example, your first case study, your first cat, will show up on June 15th, which is Monday in week 10. Shows up at 8 AM. We have class 8:30. And you'll just be able to, you can see it here, case study 1, due date, instructions, and then all you have to do is click on that file, and it will open up your Google Doc that you own. It's yours, no one else can touch it. So you don't have to create a new file, you don't have to worry about someone accidentally writing answers into your thing. And then once you've finished it at the end of the lesson, I'll say, alright guys, make sure you submit your file. It'll be a button on top right, top left, just submit, hand in, and then that'll be that. And then when we have our next lesson, you can see semester 1 cat, case study 2, same place, same protocol, different due date obviously. 7E4, this is yours, so you can see you've got different due dates to 7F3. And yeah, the final thing I want to go over, after the cat instructions, I've given you a couple of pages of kind of support information which you can use to either study for the cat today or over the weekend before the cat occurs. You may have noticed that in tests, not just in humanities, but in English, science, maths, etc., that a lot of questions use similar terms. They use what are called instructional verbs. So instead of saying, what's the answer, they'll say identify, or describe, or explain, something like that. And you'll see those at the beginning of each question. Those are called instructional verbs. And understanding what each term means will help you answer the question effectively. So if there is a question that is worth 1 mark and it tells you to identify, all you have to do is point it out. You're pointing out something. You're finding it. You're literally saying, there it is. And you're giving me a very brief answer that's only 1 sentence long, probably. And it's only going to be worth 1 mark. So don't waste time on an identify question by writing 7,000 words. And then on the other side of things, if you have an explain question, oops, I've covered it up though, don't just write 1-word answers, because it's going to be worth 2 or 3 marks. To explain something, you're providing greater detail. You're interpreting the meaning of the answer. So what does this all mean? Tell me what it means. So these are some of the instructional verbs you'll see in the cat, so I thought I'd show them to you beforehand so you understood what to do for each of those questions. So identify, categorize is you're putting something into a group or a category. You're saying, oh, it's either X or it's either Y. You know, it's either a good or a service, or it's a producer or a consumer. You're categorizing it. It's 1 sentence, 1 mark. Nice and easy. Outlining it is a bit more detailed, so you're just providing a general description showing the main features, but not a lot of detail. So it's just like 1 or 2 sentences. It's a bit more information than, say, pointing at it and saying good. You're saying it's a good, which is this thing. Describing it, a bit more detailed than outline. They are similar, but outline you provide just kind of like a general description. Describe questions, it's 2 or 3 sentences, and you provide a very detailed description of the topic. And you'll see that those questions are usually worth 2 marks. So you get 1 mark for a question, for a description that isn't very detailed, and you'd get 2 marks for the full thing. Justify. Justify is why, basically. So if I say justify your response, I want you to explain why. Tell me why your answer is correct. So provide reasons for your response. Again, similar to explain, that's going to be 2 or 3 sentences, 1 or 2 marks. It's a bigger question. So those are some of the terms you'll see in the CAT. And then for this lesson, I've also given you a little practice question, practice case study, something similar to the dev, similar to the CAT, just for the people who want some extra practice, I guess, as the name suggests. So I won't go through that in too much detail. You can read that yourselves if you want. I recommend you complete the practice question individually and then compare your answers to your classmates. So you can do some sharing of information, you can do some peer assessment, like, oh, I think you only got 1 mark here and you should have done this to get 2 marks. And yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, guys, please let me know. Hope you're well. Looking forward to seeing you back in school. And yeah, best of luck. Cheers.